Hey, my name's Jeff. I'm 20 years old. And this story happened just last week, so yeah, it's still fresh in my mind. I'm hoping telling it helps me forget it faster. I just wrapped up my college exams for the summer semester and I was burned out. Sleep deprived, brain fried, stressed beyond anything I've ever felt. So I hit up a few close friends, Liam, Noah, and Chris, and suggested a little road trip and camping getaway to reset. Nothing fancy. Just a couple of nights up north at this public forest reserve we'd been to before. It's known for having huge pine trees, lakes, hiking trails, and no cell reception, which sounded perfect at the time. We packed everything into my SUV, tents, coolers, sleeping bags, food, and a GoPro dash cam I'd bought earlier that month. I figured I'd edit together a fun little video after. We left on a Thursday around noon. That's when the weird stuff began. We stopped at this small gas station a few hours into the drive. One of those old ones off a quiet highway where the air smells like diesel and the cashier barely looks up at you. That's where I first noticed the car. It was a dark green Buick. Older model. Rust on the side. Tinted windows. Just sitting there, engine running, no one inside the station, and no one ever got out of it while we were there. We joked that it looked like a car from a crime movie. I didn't think much of it. We saw that same Buick at the next rest stop 2 hours later. Parked near the bathroom. This time a guy was sitting inside, beard, black hoodie, pale face, just staring straight ahead. Not at us. Just straight forward. Like a statue. I remember Noah saying, "Okay, that's actually creepy." But again, we figured it was coincidence. We made one last stop for snacks and gas right before we got off the main roads and into the woods. And yep, the same car pulled into the lot 5 minutes after we did. This time, it didn't even park next to the station. It just sat off in the distance, engine running. Now we were all weirded out. Still, we told ourselves maybe we were being paranoid. There are only so many routes up here, and we were taking a pretty common one. We made it to the campsite around 7 p.m. We set up 2 tents, built a fire, and tried to laugh everything off. By midnight, the fire was dying and we were all in our sleeping bags. And eventually, I drifted off. I don't know what time it was when I woke up. But it was still dark. Dead silent. The kind of silence that makes your ears ring. And I knew something wasn't right. I slowly sat up in my tent, and that's when I noticed Liam's phone was still recording in the tent corner. He was using it to film a time-lapse of the fire from inside the mesh flap. The screen showed a nearly dead fire. And a figure. Not one of us. A silhouette, maybe 20 feet away. Standing perfectly still. Facing our tents. I froze. I didn't make a sound. I didn't even breathe loud. Eventually, I laid back down and whispered to Liam, trying to wake him without making noise. He stirred, confused, and I just pointed at his phone. We both watched the figure slowly turn and walk off into the woods. We didn't sleep the rest of the night. In the morning, I checked the dash cam from the SUV. The camera had night vision and ran on motion detection. I had parked it facing the trail entrance where we hiked in. At 2:47 a.m., motion triggered the cam. A man, hooded, same build as the gas station guy, walks up the trail and just stands there, maybe 10 feet from our car. Watching. Then he walks out of frame, toward our tents. None of us had heard him. No snapping twigs. No footsteps. Nothing. We packed up immediately. No breakfast, no discussion. Just adrenaline and silence. As we were leaving the woods, guess what was parked a few hundred feet down the road? That same green Buick. Empty. Just sitting there like it was waiting. I reported it to the local ranger station once we had reception again. I showed them the dashcam footage, but they didn't recognize the guy. They said they'd keep an eye out. We haven't heard anything since. I deleted most of the footage from my phone. I don't know why, I guess I just didn't want to see that figure again. I still have the dashcam clips backed up, though. Just in case. For now, we're all just trying to move on. The police said it was probably a drifter or someone messing with us. But I've been on dozens of camping trips, and I've never had someone follow me across 3 rest stops and into the middle of nowhere. I still don't know what he wanted. Maybe nothing. Maybe it was just a coincidence. But when I close my eyes at night, sometimes I still picture that man's shadow, standing just outside the tent, watching us breathe. This happened a week ago. I'm hoping it's something I'll forget with time.
Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm 22 years old, and I just finished my junior year of college. This story happened only a couple of months ago, right at the start of summer. I've been dealing with a lot lately. Final stress, family drama, and trying to balance everything with my part-time job at a dental clinic. So when my boyfriend Alex suggested we rent a beach house for a few weeks to get away, it felt like exactly what I needed. We booked a place on Airbnb, this gorgeous 1-bedroom beach house just outside of Santa Cruz. The listing had 5 stars, glowing reviews, and it looked almost too nice for the price. Huge glass windows, modern kitchen, oceanfront deck, the kind of place that makes you feel like you're living someone else's life. We arrived on a Sunday and settled in. The first few days were incredible. Long walks on the beach, late-night movies, grilling out on the patio. It felt perfect. But after about a week, things started to feel off. The first thing I noticed was my toothbrush. I always keep it in the cup by the sink, bristles facing left. I'm weirdly OCD about it. One morning, I found it lying flat on the counter. I asked Alex if he knocked it over. He said no. I figured maybe I bumped it. The next day, the toothbrush was back in the cup, but flipped around. Bristles facing the wrong way. That gave me pause. I mentioned it to Alex again. He kind of brushed it off, said I was probably imagining it. Maybe we were just tired or overthinking. But the next thing was harder to ignore. My clothes. One night after we came back from a walk, I opened the closet to grab a hoodie, and all of my tops were shuffled around. Shirts I hadn't even worn yet were now mixed in with dirty laundry. My bra was hanging off the doorknob, and Alex's jeans, which were folded in the drawer, were now on the floor. That's when both of us knew something wasn't right. We started double-checking everything before we left the house, taking photos of how we left things, locking all doors and windows. But it didn't matter. One night, Alex woke me up around 3 a.m. He was freaking out. He'd heard something, like a faint beep, coming from the AC vent near the bed. It sounded like a short electronic sound, like a phone unlocking. We both got up. I turned off the fan and listened. There it was again. Beep. Like a power-on noise or a motion sensor. Alex got a chair, climbed up to the vent, and unscrewed the cover. Inside was a small black device, no bigger than a car key, with a blinking blue light. A hidden camera. We both froze. I felt sick. Violated. We immediately left the house and drove to the nearest gas station to call the police. When they arrived, we showed them everything. The camera, the photos we took of our belongings before and after, even screenshots from the Airbnb listing. Here's where it gets really disturbing. The police asked us to go down to the station the next day to give a full statement. They didn't say much then, just that we had done the right thing by reporting it. Later, we found out the truth. The woman who owned the Airbnb, the host, the nice lady who messaged us welcome notes and said to treat it like home, was the one who planted the camera. But she wasn't watching us. She was watching Alex. Apparently, she'd rented the house out to him the summer before, when he'd gone there with his guy friends. She must have gotten obsessed. Somehow, she tracked him through the Airbnb system and saw that he was the one renting it again this year, only this time with a girlfriend. Police searched the rest of the house. They found two more hidden cameras, one in the living room lamp and another in a vent above the shower. She had been watching us the whole time. They arrested her a day later. From what we were told, she had been doing this to multiple guests, but Alex was the only one she had specifically followed back. The whole situation still messes with my head. I can't look at a rental listing now without wondering who's behind it, who's watching. Airbnb refunded us. They took down the listing, obviously. But it doesn't erase the paranoia. What scares me the most is how normal the house felt at first. How nice she acted through messages. How easy it was for her to hide what she was doing. There were no signs. Just small, strange details. A toothbrush. A shirt moved. A faint beep at night. If we hadn't found that camera, who knows how long it would have gone on.
Hey, my name's Josh. I'm 19 now, but this story happened last summer, right after my freshman year of college. Finals had just ended, and I was burned out. I was dealing with a lot, exams, stress, and some personal stuff back home, so when one of my frat buddies, Sammy, invited me to a beach bonfire to blow off steam, I didn't think twice. We were about an hour outside the city, at a beach near a small coastal town called Rockford Bay. It wasn't a tourist spot, just a place locals and college kids knew about. Sammy had a friend whose parents owned a beach house nearby, so a bunch of us planned to crash there for a few days and just relax. The bonfire started around 7 p.m. It was the perfect summer scene: music, drinks, people laughing, someone strumming a guitar. Some faces I recognized, others I didn't. But it felt like exactly what I needed. Then around 9:30, this guy showed up. He just kind of wandered into the circle like he belonged there. I noticed him right away because he didn't say anything, just stood there at the edge of the firelight, nodding slightly to the music, hands in the pocket of his hoodie. Eventually someone asked, "Hey man, you here with someone?" He gave this half smile and said, "Yeah. I'm friends with Jess." People glanced around. "Jess who?" someone asked. He shrugged. "Just Jess. Said she might stop by later." But no one there knew a Jess. No one had invited her, and definitely not him. Still, no one wanted to be rude. We just figured maybe he was from town, or someone else had invited and forgot to mention. So someone handed him a beer, and he sat down by the fire like he was part of the group. That's when it started to feel off. He didn't talk. At all. He just watched. Stared at people mid-conversation, barely blinking. And when someone did try to talk to him, he'd say weird, vague stuff like, "Yeah, I've seen you around," or "I know this spot." He looked about our age, maybe 20 or 21, but there was something about him that didn't feel right. His eyes were pale blue. Empty. Like he was looking through you, not at you. Around 11, a few of us decided to head back to the house. I remember Sammy leaning over and whispering, "We gotta lose that guy. He's freaking everyone out." So we did the polite thing, told everyone we were calling it a night, started packing up. The guy didn't say a word. Just stood and watched us leave. We made sure he wasn't following. Walked off the beach, up the trail to the house, and locked the door behind us. Next day, we joked about it. Called him Jess's guy. Figured he was just some drunk townie trying to crash a college party. But then, around 3 p.m., Sammy called me. His voice was shaking. I'd never heard him sound like that. He said, "Dude, I just saw him." I asked what he meant. Sammy said he'd stepped out back to check the grill, and when he looked toward the tree line at the edge of the yard, maybe 30 yards away, that guy was just standing there. Not moving. Just watching the house from behind a tree. Sammy said he froze. The guy didn't wave, didn't speak, didn't smile. Just stared. Then Sammy backed into the house and locked the door. When he looked again, the guy was gone. We told everyone. People freaked out. We checked the house, searched the yard, even walked toward the woods. Nothing. That night, nobody slept well. We stayed in groups, kept the lights on. Nothing else happened. The next morning, most of the group decided to cut the trip short. Sammy and I stayed behind to clean up the house. While we were packing the last of our stuff, I heard Sammy call out from upstairs. His voice sounded alarmed. I ran up and found him in the guest room, holding a crumpled piece of paper he'd found shoved under the bed. It was written in messy, almost childlike handwriting. No punctuation. Just 4 words. I know where Jess is. We called the police. Reported everything. But since we didn't know his name, or where he came from, there wasn't much they could do. They said it was probably a drifter. Someone with mental issues. Someone who wandered onto the beach and decided to stick around. But no one ever found out who he was. Or who Jess was. There were no missing persons matching that name. No arrests. No updates. Just a stranger who showed up at a beach bonfire, and then appeared in someone's backyard the next day. I still think about that night sometimes. That blank look on his face. How still he stood in the trees. And how he never blinked. We were lucky we left when we did.